What happens when a sitting U.S. Congresswoman, herself a decorated veteran, confronts the Secretary of Defense over his belief that women don't belong in combat? What unfolded inside that hearing room wasn't just another tense political exchange, it was a full-on collision between outdated stereotypes and lived military experience. Representative Chrissy Houlahan didn't tiptoe around the issue. She came armed with facts, direct questions, and the kind of credibility only a service member can bring. And when Secretary Hegseth tried to dodge her simple yes or no questions, the moment quickly exposed how deep certain biases still run at the highest levels of leadership.
It depends
Yes
on the,
or no, sir?
Depends on the context.
Yes or no? Yes or no? Are men and women capable of causing death?
It depends on the context.
Yes
ma'am.
or no?
It depends on the context.
It's unbelievable to me that you can't come up with an answer whether or not a man or a woman can cause death. That's an obvious yes. Would it be fair to say that the U.S. military trains our soldiers in multiple ways to be capable of causing death, whether they are men or women?
That's a big part of our job.
Yes. Would it be fair to say that both men and women are capable of pulling a trigger of a rifle to cause death? Yes or no?
Sure.
And would it be fair to say that both men and women are capable of operating an unmanned combat drone or maybe pushing a button to launch a missile to cause death again? Yes or no?
I know what you're getting at, ma'am.
Yes?
But it is
So lastly,
men and women
sir,
carry equipment differently,
lastly,
a
sir,
155 round
lastly,
differently,
sir,
a rucksack differently,
reclaiming
a 240
my
Bravo
time,
machine gun
I asked
differently.
about
There
missiles
are
and drones,
different
sir.
It is the gentlelady's
Reclaiming my
time.
time.
Men and
Reclaiming
women.
my
Just
time,
pause.
sir.
It is the gentlelady's time.
Would it be fair, finally, to say that both men and women are capable of piloting a jet or a helicopter to combat people and to cause death as a consequence?
A lot of wonderful female
Yes
pilots.
or no? So while I agree with you that physical fitness, as you were mentioning, is a very strong and important component of lethality, the warfighter that you have written about in your books and talked about on various podcasts is but a very, very small piece of the overall lethality picture. In fact, we estimate only about 10% of our military personnel are directly involved in the kind of combat that you're referring to. Rather, 90%, that's the math, of our troops are doing other jobs that support and enable those 10%. So to put it simply, lethality cannot be measured solely by the damage that a 6'3", 225-pound Christian male with a rifle can do to the enemy anymore. Sure, I agree he's part of that solution, but it is an incomplete and at best very dangerous and very homogeneous description of that. Lethality is equal parts technical skills, tactical experience, cognitive problem solving, and physical fitness. It's not about one person, but it's about many. It's not about blue or red. It's not about liberal or conservative, Christian, Jewish, or agnostic. It's not about North and South. Here are some statements that you have said previously about women in service. This is 2024, sir, not when you were a 19-year-old. You have said that women are life givers, that dads push us to take risks, and that moms put the training wheels on our bikes, that we need moms, but not in the military. Secondly, you have said, I am straight up just saying we should not have women in combat roles. It hasn't made us more effective, and it hasn't made us more lethal. With what's left of my time, sir, I will say to you that women have served our country for 200 plus years in our militaries and in service and protection of our nation. They are watching you, what you do and what you say, and we deserve better from you. Women can and do serve with lethality today. We can and do all of the jobs that are required of us. Yes or no, do you believe military women should be in all roles in the military?
Women have joined
Yes
our
or
military
no, sir?
in record numbers
Should
under this
women be
administration.
in all roles in the military?
Standards should be high and equal for
Yes
all
or
positions.
no, sir? We agree. Should they
Standards-
be in all roles in the
So
military?
my job is that
yes
10%
or no?
stays as sharp as
Reclaiming my
possible.
time.
Standards should be high and equal.
Reclaiming my time. Will you agree that that women should be able to perform in all combat roles, assuming they meet the standards?
Gentlelady's time's expired.
It's all about standards.
Before we move to the
This wasn't about partisan talking points, it was about whether the United States military is finally ready to respect every soldier who meets the standard, regardless of gender. And what happened next left everyone stunned. Chrissy Houlahan isn't your typical politician. Representing Pennsylvania's 6th District, she brings more than legislative experience to the table. She's a veteran, a former Air Force officer, and someone who grew up surrounded by family members who also wore the uniform. To her, debates about who is worthy to serve aren't abstract. They're deeply personal, rooted in lived sacrifice and generational service. That authenticity is what gave her words so much weight when she looked across the table at Secretary Hegseth. She wasn't asking for concessions. She was demanding respect, not just for herself, but for every woman who has stepped into uniform and proven her commitment to defending the nation. The confrontation didn't come out of nowhere. Secretary Hegseth has been known for years to emphasize one word above all others when talking about the military lethality. He's written about it, spoken about it on podcasts, and used it as a core measure for readiness. But behind the rhetoric lies a deeper problem. His past remarks about women in the armed forces have drawn heavy criticism. He's described women primarily as life-givers, suggesting that while fathers teach risk-taking, mothers are better suited to nurturing. He's stated outright that putting women in combat roles hasn't made the military more effective or more lethal. For many, those words were outdated, even insulting. For Houlahan, who had spent years proving her capabilities alongside men, they were unacceptable. So when her turn to question the secretary arrived, she went straight for the jugular. She asked him to define lethality in its simplest form, being capable of causing death. Then, instead of letting the conversation drift into vague generalities, she pressed him with a series of rapid-fire yes or no questions. Can women cause death just as men can? Can they pull a trigger? Can they operate a combat drone? Can they push the button that launches a missile? Can they pilot a jet into combat? Every question was designed to be clear, direct, and undeniable. Yet each time the secretary hesitated. He dodged, repeating that it depends on the context. The scene quickly grew tense. Houlahan's frustration was visible as she pushed him to give a straight answer. To the audience watching, the exchange exposed something bigger than semantics. It revealed how deeply ingrained biases can be, even when the facts are undeniable. Every soldier is trained to take lethal action when necessary. Women have been doing it for years. Yet by hedging and contextualizing, the secretary made it sound as though women's capabilities were conditional, whereas men's were assumed. That subtle double standard spoke volumes. And this is where Houlahan flipped the script. Instead of letting him define lethality only in terms of brute force, she broadened the perspective. She reminded the room that only about 10% of the military is directly involved in frontline combat operations. The other 90%, they support, enable, and execute critical tasks that make modern warfare. Technical expertise, logistical coordination, intelligence analysis, cyber operations, these roles are no less vital, and they are just as tied to lethality as the soldier carrying a rifle. Modern battle isn't just about how much weight you can carry on your back. It's about how quickly you can process information, adapt to new technology, and make decisions under extreme pressure. By reframing the argument, Houlahan highlighted a truth that many military leaders already know: lethality isn't just physical. It's mental, technical, and tactical. It's about collaboration across diverse units and skill sets. And in those areas, women have proven time and again that they are not just equal, but often exceptional. Yet by clinging to an outdated definition rooted in raw strength, leaders risk sidelining talent that the military desperately needs. The confrontation grew even sharper when Houlahan brought up his own words from the past. She reminded him of his comments suggesting that women don't belong in combat, that their presence hasn't made the armed forces more effective. She contrasted those remarks with the reality of today's battlefield. It's not 1980 anymore, she said. It's 2024. The roles of women in the military aren't theoretical, they're real, proven, and indispensable. Female pilots, commanders, and frontline soldiers have already demonstrated their capabilities in combat zones around the world. To continue suggesting otherwise isn't just dismissive, it's dangerous. But beneath the surface, this clash revealed a broader truth about how these debates are framed. Critics of women in combat often fall back on the idea of standards. They argue that standards shouldn't be lowered, that effectiveness will be compromised. But Houlahan wasn't arguing for lower standards. She was demanding equal standards. If a woman can meet the same rigorous benchmarks as her male counterpart, there should be no barrier, no asterisk next to her service, no footnote questioning her role. The problem is that too often, the conversation gets muddied by logistics and hypotheticals, masking deeper biases that remain unspoken but persistent. Her insistence on yes or no answers was more than a rhetorical tactic. It was a demand for clarity. Because at the end of the day, the question is simple: do you believe women can serve in all roles if they meet the standards, yes or no? And the Secretary's inability to give that simple yes revealed everything. His reluctance wasn't about policy details. It was about perspective, about a worldview still anchored in the idea that men and women inherently serve different purposes. As her time ran out, Houlahan left him with words that carried weight far beyond the hearing room. "Women have served this country for more than 200 years, she said. They're watching, they're listening, and they deserve better from leaders at the very top." It was a reminder that these debates aren't just intellectual exercises. They're about real people who put their lives on the line every day and who expect to be respected for their service, not diminished because of their gender. The broader message was clear. Equality in uniform isn't political correctness, it's a national security imperative. A military that dismisses half its population risks weakening itself. A military that embraces talent wherever it's found grows stronger. And in an era where modern threats demand not just muscle but innovation, intelligence, and adaptability, clinging to outdated stereotypes about who belongs in combat is a luxury America can't afford. So the next time we hear leaders hedge on this issue, the real question we should ask is simple: are they protecting standards, or are they protecting old biases? Because as long as women continue to meet the same standards, serve with distinction, and prove their lethality in every sense of the word, the debate should already be over. What do you think? Should women who meet the standards be allowed to serve in every military role, without exception? Or are there still deeper barriers that haven't been confronted yet? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and if you found this video insightful, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more, and turn on notifications. The next video dives into an even more controversial showdown you won't want to miss.